Okay, assalamu alaikum, inshallah. We will go ahead and get started. Jazakallah khair to the candidates. Jazakallah khair to everybody for taking the time to... Sorry? I will, inshallah, introduce myself. I, inshallah, will introduce myself. My name is Salman Alam. I am on the nominating committee for the elections, inshallah. We will be basically spending the next 90 minutes to 2 hours, inshallah, talking to the candidates. Questions have been submitted already by the community. We've got a wide variety of questions that have come through, so inshallah we'll get to them. The format will be precisely what was put out in the emails that have been going out. Was essentially questions that will be submitted to all the candidates. We'll have 2 to 3 minutes for them to engage, and then again, opportunities to give us an opportunity to see what types of issues they care about so that we can make informed decisions for the elections that are coming out on December 4th. So let's go ahead and start. And I just wanted to kind of take a point to note that all of these questions came from the community. We had over 30 questions that were submitted, so we're just trying to prune them down. We'll probably get to about 10 of them. So inshallah, we'll go ahead and get started. So in terms of just quick introductions, we asked the candidates to just introduce themselves. So we'll start with Brother Rizwan Rezi.
Assalamu alaikum. Guys can hear me? Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rizwan Uraisi. I've been a member of this community for the last 20 years. I'm married, 5 kids, living right here in Jamboree and Walnut in the Harvard Square community for the last 15 years. And I'm a practicing CPA. I'm hoping to run for the finance position so that we can work together to provide transparency, as the board is already doing, and help them provide the transparency to the community and serve the community at large.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zulfiqar Sayyid. I've been part of Irvine community for the last 15. What's that? Zulfiqar Sayyid. You got that, Taimur? And I am married and I have 5 kids, and my wife is sitting upstairs. And I've been part of this community for the last at least 10 years. And I'm very much part of Quran Halaqa that happens, that is led by our fierce leader, Nabil Houri. So I participate in that as much as I can, and I work as a software manager at Molina Healthcare, and I would love, and I like to see bigger and better things in this masjid, and that's about it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Arif Iftikhar. I'm a new member to your community, my community now. This is my 4th year here in Irvine. I'm married. I have 3 children. I have 2 girls, 12 and 10. My eldest daughter is in the Friday program. My middle daughter, who's 10, goes to the Islamic school here, the weekend school, and my son, who is 4, he loves to run around here. That's his involvement in the masjid. I'm a biomedical engineer by training. I work here in Irvine in a medical device company. We make spare parts for the heart, really, cardiovascular implants. I moved here from Northern California, and before that from Minneapolis, where I did my college and got married. And before that, I grew up in Kuwait for all my early schooling. I'm originally from Bangladesh. Just to give a little hint of why I'm interested in running for the board, I would say very early in my life I got interested in helping the community. A lot of us as immigrants who come here, I've been here 25 years now, our experience with involvement starts with maybe the MSA level. For us, when we were in Kuwait during the Gulf War, as you might know in those countries, the Ministry of Al-Qaf takes care of the masajid and the khatib and the muazzin. And when Iraq invaded Kuwait, suddenly it was gone, nobody. The mosque is closed, there is no khatib, there is no muazzin. And we were living in a community, Arabs, Desis, Iraqis, Kuwaitis, Syrians, Arabs, and no one knew what to do. And suddenly we realized, okay, we have to open the masjid, we have to keep the water running, we have to make the adhan, find a khatib. And so I got a lesson early in life that these things don't happen magically. we have to get involved. So inshallah, I look forward to serving in any way possible.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Randa Siraj. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. I came to Southern California in 2007, and I've been in Irvine since 2011, so I've been part of the ICOI community for 5 years now. I work as an internal medicine physician here in Irvine with the Hoag Medical Group. I have an 8-year-old son. My son attends Hafiz Enes's Quran class here at the masjid, and he also attends the weekend school, which is, mashallah, doing a really excellent job. I myself attend Quran class with Sheikh Muhammad and also Brother Timur's Arabic classes, which I've benefited from greatly, alhamdulillah. I have been blessed to be part of this community and have benefited tremendously from ICOI. I consider it a second home for me. And I feel this great desire to give back to ICOI. And I don't think I can ever repay the community for what it's given me, but I want to be able to give back and inshallah help improve the wonderful work that's already been done by many of our community members that have worked very tirelessly for the masjid and for the sake of our community.
All right, Jazakallah khair. Thank you to all 4 of you for the responses. We'll start with just a general question. One of the reasons, since this community moved to the elections model, was primarily to establish notions of transparency. And so this is a direct question that came from one of our members. How would you address perceptions of some longtime community members who say that ICOI is not transparent with its financials, spends donations carelessly, or charges the community too much for its services? So I think this is, again, directly from the community. We can probably start with Brother Rizwan.
Of course. So that's a very good question. I believe the information is available out there. As far as transparency is concerned, the Irvine community, ICOI, is very transparent already. They do have what they file is called 990 public document that's available to everyone to see that document, and it actually lists out where the donations are coming from, what are the program services revenues, how much donations are coming, where the money is being spent. So there is transparency. It's just that perhaps a lot of us don't know where to find that information. So that information is available out there. Now, we could do the other things where we are presenting the information in the form of a chart or something, or financials on a monthly basis, which I do believe that the community was, the ICOI was actually publishing it out there every week or every month. And I haven't seen that recently, so maybe we can bring that back.
Okay. Brother Zulfikar?
So, as far as the transparency is concerned, I mean, I've been to a lot of I go to a lot of masajid as anyone here, and I don't see a huge chart that you see outside with all the expenses. What other transparency people are looking for, I don't know. But this is amazing. I mean, the masjid is, mashallah, ICOI is very transparent, as far as I can see. Board members are always available. If you have any questions, if you want to see why did you spend $1,000 on computer services, they will answer you. They have answered you. So as far as transparency is concerned, I think ICOI does a pretty good job. The other question was about the donation programs, where they're going. All we have to do is attend our program. I mean, I think one fine Sunday, board members put a program together, and one of the program was a CAP program. And the brother, I don't want to take his name to embarrass him, but the brother stood here and he said that he each itemized that how donations are collected and where they're going, and they don't even charge for stamps when it comes to donations from their own, from the donations. I mean, they are so careful. I hate to say this. I mean, the one thing that reminded me of was Khulafa Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when he would, light the candle thinking that it's a public fund. SubhanAllah, that's the example came to my mind when that brother mentioned that how careful they are at ICOI with the donations that are given and passed out to the needy people. And the third one is we charge a lot for the services. I mean, $20 for Arabic class or $20 for Quran class. I mean, I don't know if somebody considers that too much, and if this is too much, ICOI provides assistance programs, so nobody is going to force you. And this is all, I'm really personally impressed. I mean, this is not that somebody told me to say this, but I think ICOI does a very good job.
So I think the brothers before me already addressed the topic of transparency and how the money is being spent. They have more time and experience in this community. I concur with them completely. I think this is a very transparent masjid when it comes to financials and where the money is going. I don't see it being spent carelessly. I will comment on the third part of that question, which is overcharging community. Honestly, I mean, in my small time that I've been here and the history that I have learned, and I could be a little bit misinformed, but I believe the land and the masjid, even for this, and the school, for the most part, the community got with very little individual investment. And I think very few communities in the whole country have that luxury. I mean, where I was in Northern California, and before that in Minnesota, we started with a zero. And we had to get land, get a building, start from scratch, and we appreciated what we have. I really think it's shameful that we feel that perhaps there's overcharging for services. But again, if there's a perception, we have to address the perception. We have to see what is behind the perception. Perhaps we can share some information. And for some people, we need to provide free services or discounted services. For others, we need to collect more, honestly. And so I think there is a way to ensure that people feel that their donations are being well spent. Just showing up here on an evening like this and having the lights on and having a space to discuss is a great luxury that we're enjoying for minimal cost to us. Alhamdulillah.
I have to agree with everything that's been said in terms of the transparency and the use of the donations and so forth. And I just want to add one more thing regarding charging for the services. I think we have this notion in our Muslim community that when we come to the masjid, everything should be free. And I don't know why we have this expectation that the masjid should be free. We shouldn't have to pay for anything. And it is very odd, when we go to our own homes, we pay for our food, we buy our own groceries, we pay for the rent or the mortgage, we pay the utilities. If we are in school, we're educating ourselves, we pay for our education. So how come when we come to the masjid, we don't have to pay, we want to be fed for free, we want to be educated for free, we want to use this house of Allah without paying for the lights and everything else. So I think we have to keep in mind that, in every other realm of life, we have to pay for everything. And we should not have the expectation that the services of the masjid should come without a cost.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. That was very helpful. The next question, I think now we're going to start a little bit speaking about some of the issues that our community recently has been taking a little bit more seriously. One question from a particular member was, how will the candidates work with local government officials and the community in regards to the hateful rhetoric and hate crimes committed amongst Muslims lately? We need to be represented from our local masjids, and there should be a clear, actionable plan around this to ensure our rights. Are there actions that we can take, and do you have views on this? I think we can start with Brother Zulfikar this time.
So, like anything else, we really need to represent ourselves in a very effective manner. And it all starts at a very individual level. I mean, at an individual level, our character should be such that whether the way we are at home, or whether we are at work, or whether we are in public, in a mall, or in a grocery store, I mean, our character should be very impressive. That's what, it all starts there. And if we don't have that right, forget government officials. I mean, I need to address my akhlaq. And as a community, we need to address our akhlaq. Having said that yes, we need to engage with the government officials in such a way that we present Islam in a very clear manner. We present the lifestyle of our Rasulullah ﷺ, our Sahaba, our peer and his peers, Sahaba and their peers, and the people who came after them, and we need to educate them on how Islam works and what is our history and how we carry ourselves. And inshallah, with time, this should take care of that issue. That is my opinion.
Yes, Brother Arif.
I really took a lot of inspiration from Sheikh Atif's khutbah today at Jum'ah. What he said, in essence, was, what we have to do now is no different than what we had to do last week or the week before or the month before or the year before. The situation of Muslims as a minority in any country in the world has not changed. We have to be well organized, well secured, and well integrated with our allies who do sympathize with the need to protect all citizens in a country. I would say that our ability to influence our leaders, starting from the school board all the way to the president, is very important. Hiding is not a strategy. Laying low is not a strategy. And as a community, to the extent that our nonprofit status allows us, or to the extent that we can separately get organized, but with support from the community, we have to actively engage and actively be involved. And yes, we have to present Islam and we have to present the true character of Muslims, but we just also have to really present ourselves as fellow citizens, fellow human beings, fellow neighbors, and have a zero tolerance for anything that diminishes our dignity. And we should do the same thing for others who today feel equally afraid about their dignity and their self-worth and their protection under the law, who may not be Muslims, but we have to partner with them as well. So absolutely, I agree that ICOI should take bold, courageous positions and have zero tolerance for behavior directed towards us that is undignified, obnoxious, or diminishes our rights.
Jazakallah khair. Sister Rhonda.
So I agree with working with other marginalized groups to support them and also have them help support our cause as well. And I think we have a stronger voice if we work that way. And it's also the right thing to do. And then I think we do definitely need to be engaged with government, especially at our city level, our city council members, our police department, et cetera. So we have a working relationship with them. And it shouldn't just be that in times of need we go to these officials. We should have open lines of communication at all times.
Jazakallah khair. Brother Rizwan?
I definitely agree with the other candidates. We definitely have to maintain open lines of communication with all other groups so that they get an opportunity to understand us. We cannot live in a vacuum. However, having said that, this is not the first time that we have been faced with challenging times. Muslims have been faced with challenging times many, many times since the time of the Prophet. And this is by far no different. Even other marginalized groups such as the African Americans, the Hispanics, the American Indians, they have gone through tougher times than us. So at this particular time, we do need to engage ourselves. We do need to actually reach out to the city level, at the state level. They need to know. We need to open our doors. I know that the masjid is, recently we had the Open Mosque Day. Those are good programs. It gives an opportunity for people to actually come and see what we do, how we practice our religion. And then what Brother Zulfikar said, that our akhlaq is very important, how we present ourselves in front of other people. We need to make sure that we follow the rules. For example, out there, if you're parking, we should follow the rules for parking. It's for this community. People need to see that these are Muslims, that they do follow the rules, they are considerate. So those are important things. So it's not only at an individual level, but also at the organizational level. We all have to do our part.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you, everyone. So that was a question more about, like you mentioned, notions of harmful rhetoric, hate crimes. The follow-on question from another community member was related more specifically to political engagement. And this question is, what are your personal thoughts on whether Muslims should seek political office in this country and vote in elections? And then secondly, is it part of ICOI's responsibility to educate and encourage Muslims to participate in the political process? Not necessarily for a particular candidate, but to actually participate somehow and to encourage Muslims to engage in this process. Brother Arif, we can probably start with you.
Okay, so as far as participating in the political process as an individual, I believe we as citizens of this country have to vote and participate in selecting our leaders at all levels, like I said, including our local mayor and the school board and city council, all the way to the president of the United States. So for me, that's a no-brainer issue. I don't think it's a fiqh issue at all. As far as seeking political office, again, if we truly want to be represented at all levels of the government, then we have to encourage each other and ourselves to represent Muslims at various levels of government. And it's not just representing Islam, but it's representing, as the brother said, good character, good intentions, good vision for humanity. And a lot of that we learn from our religion. So seeking political office also for qualified candidates should be something that the Muslim community encourages and promotes. As far as ICOI, again, like I said, to the extent to which our nonprofit status allows us, we should maximize our involvement in local government first and foremost with our allies, and then state and the national level. And we should bring awareness to what is going on in the country. Again, this thing does not change just because what happened last week. It should be the norm for Muslim communities to be well informed, well organized, and to be spreading information so people can participate in the selection of their leaders.
Exactly.
So I agree completely that as Muslims we need to be involved in the political process. I think it's actually incumbent upon us, it behooves us as a community to be involved and to vote at the very least. And I do think that Muslims should be encouraged to seek political positions and so forth. In terms of ICOI's responsibility to educate Muslims about the political process and encourage Muslims to vote, I think actually it is part of the masjid's, within the scope of the responsibility of the masjid, to help educate the community about opportunities to be involved in the political process and to facilitate that. And I think the candidates forum that we had a few weeks ago before the election was one of the ways in which we can do that. So I would definitely encourage that type of activity.
So for many years, I've been very conflicted about this particular question, personally speaking. I never really felt that I should be involved. However, as years have gone by, I have changed my opinion. I do feel that involvement is necessary. I cannot live in a vacuum. So at a personal level, I do feel that it's important that I do get involved. If I have issues, if I have complaints, well, just sitting around and complaining will not do anything. I need to actually voice my opinion and do something about it, participate. And as such, I do feel that it's important at a personal level for me to get involved. As far as ICOI is concerned, or any other masajid is concerned, I think it is their responsibility to provide a forum for the community at large to be educated about what the issues are, what the issues are being faced by the community. And as such, I think classes, recently the masjid had something for the city, the people who are running for the city of Irvine and to educate. And so those kind of forums are important, and it gives an opportunity for people to really understand what are the issues. Now, we talk, for example, we talk about that we want maybe an Eid holiday for our children. Well, we want it, but are we going out there and actually lobbying for that? So those kind of things can only be achieved if we personally get involved, and if the community thinks that it's important for them. So now I've changed my mind.
So the events have folded such a way that Muslim community feels that they have no choice but to participate in the election, and there is just no way out except in participating in the election. So, like I would say that what we have to do is to engage with the government officials. We need to engage with them and discuss with them who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to engage with them to discuss with them who is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We need to engage with them and discuss with them what is Quran. We need to discuss the message of Islam with them. And this is how we should address the issue, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Obviously serving on the board is quite a responsibility, and so a number of questions related to your involvement. One particular one related to, more specifically, a very kind of clear question. How much time have you spent at ICOI last year, and how much time can you commit to spending if you're part of the board?
So last year, I don't know what it means by time spent, if this means time volunteering or, so I'll just say.
Good question. I think we can probably break it down to however many times, let's say a week or a month. I think the question was really how much time can you generally commit to the masjid. So you can break it down to, if you don't have to give a specific hourly range, but generally,
Okay.
Are you ready to commit?
I consulted with some of the board members before I decided to run for this position, and I was told by some of the board members that the average amount of time expected for the general board position, which I'm running for, is about 8 to 10 hours per week of time invested. And I am able, alhamdulillah, to commit that time.
Brother Rizwan?
So I should have consulted the other members of the board as to what the time commitment is, but unfortunately I did not. In terms of what I've done in the past, I've not really spent any significant amount of time per se volunteering. Time is tough to commit. However, we all have to take out the time if something is important to oneself. And this is important to me, and so I do feel that I will have to find the time to do whatever I need to do to provide the leadership that's needed in the finance area. I'm fortunate that there are other people within the organization, within the ICOI management. They have a controller. They have another finance person there to assist the CFO role. So with their assistance and us working together, I believe that we will be able to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. I had an opportunity to meet with Brother Sami and Brother, what was the brother's name? Brother Salim and Rehan.
Right.
So I did get a chance to meet with them early on, and it was a brief meeting, and we do feel that we can gel together to accomplish what needs to be accomplished.
Jazakallah.
So, yeah, I mean, of course, we have to go to work and we have to take care of the family, and then inshallah, along with that, inshallah, I should be able to spend about 8 to 10 hours a week. And I mean, given the present circumstances, things are just so tough that, I mean, I don't know, other than the masjid, where else would you go for refuge? Where else would you go to find peace of mind, peace of heart? So we come to the masjid. We should be able to help out in any capacity that we can, and see that masjid goes forward. So inshallah, as a community, we should be able to spend as much as time possible. I personally would like to spend more time helping out the masjid, inshallah, as much as I can.
Jazakallah, Brother Harith.
Alhamdulillah, I think it's a real privilege. It's an honor to have the opportunity to serve this community. I will say I am embarrassed that this is my 4th year and I haven't gotten more involved and don't know more of you at a personal level. And for that I do have regrets. But when I asked myself how to get involved, I wanted to make sure that I could commit. And as some of my friends know, I had a marketing job the first 2 years, and I was traveling a lot. And I said I really cannot commit, and I don't want to do something poorly after making a commitment. I do think good leaders say no more often than they say yes when asked to do something. And so for me, it'll be important to show a lot of commitment and focus my energy on the things that I can make a difference with, and where my motivation will be naturally high, and I'm not looking to get motivated and not get burnt out. Having said that, I think having spoken to a few board members, I believe the time commitment is very manageable, and as the brother said, we all need to become, net leaders and contributors, not consumers and critics. And if we all do that, then inshallah we'll have a lot of people to help us.
Jazakallah khair. This was very helpful, and I think I'll just kind of quickly, as on behalf of the nominating committee, just kind of reiterate. Alhamdulillah, all of these candidates were nominated by a number of people. Alhamdulillah, so this isn't necessarily something that their choice is. People from this community nominated them to be here, to be the next leaders of the community. For the finance role, we have Brother Rizwan, who is the only candidate at this time. And then for the 2 general board positions under the ICOI bylaws, we have Brother Zulfikar, Brother Arif, and Sister Rhonda. So just wanted to kind of clear that up if anybody had any questions. A number of community members also had very specific questions about various constituencies within the masjids overall. So youth, sisters, young professionals, all of these questions. So we'll spend a few minutes engaging in those questions that directly came from those particular constituencies within this masjid. One member specifically said, and I'll read this, as a woman with 3 daughters, I share the concerns of other women regarding the place for women at ICOI, and my question is the same as theirs. What are your thoughts on the physical spaces for women in our masjid, such as places for women worshipers to pray, and places for women teachers and scholars to speak? And then secondly, what informs your views on this topic? Brother Zwan?
Well, I believe that women are as important to the masjid as they are important at home, in the workplace. So there should be a place designated for women. Granted, it needs to be segregated, but there has to be a place for the women, for our daughters. I have 3 daughters and my wife, and they should be welcome. They should feel welcome. They should have a place, and so should all the other women. And it's important. We do have limited space. I can see that, but we just need to make sure that we figure out that we give everybody a place to worship, to have their programs and whatever needs to be done.
So just to add to what brother said, that it's very important for the sisters, our mothers, our sisters, our wives, our daughters to feel very welcome. It is just extremely important. And I see that in our masjid, when we have programs, we have clear separation, and the sisters are on this side, brothers on this side. As long as we have a clear marked separation, sisters should be able to come to the musalla and attend our programs. Having said that, so as far as there was a question about the sisters as speakers.
Yes, I mean, the notion was, generally, what are your thoughts on the physical spaces for women in our masjid, such as worshipers to pray, but also places for women teachers and scholars to speak, and generally, what informs your views on this topic?
Right, so I come to Fajr and we have sisters praying in the back, and nobody bothers them. MashaAllah, our masjid is very good in that sense. And nobody tells them, oh, go upstairs. I've never seen that personally. So in that sense, our masjid is pretty good. We have a clear separation. But as far as the sister scholars are concerned, we have many programs where sisters came and made a presentation. And so in that sense, it's pretty good, and it should continue. And sisters should feel very welcome in that sense.
So I agree with what has been said. I will say, though, having lived in many parts of the world, Bangladesh, Kuwait, other parts of the Middle East, different parts of America, I've seen places where there is no space for women in the masjid at all, to where there is equal space, to where even in the US, I've been to 2 of my communities where they have a closet. But if you ask the brothers in that masjid, they say, we want all the same things for our wives and daughters and sisters, but they have a closet, or they have some place that is dark or dingy or whatnot. So I think in practice, what really the women have in our community shows if we mean what we say. I believe that as Muslims in North America, or anywhere where we are a minority, this is a precious resource to have a place that is more than a masjid, it's an Islamic center. It's a precious resource, and we have to cherish it and we have to share it with all the Muslims who want to come here for some spiritual fulfillment. And that includes our sisters. And so outside of any fiqh issue related to prayer and khutbah and imamah, and outside of the specific times of the prayer, this is a multi-purpose space. And whatever the community can agree on to best use this space, we should support. So if there are genuine reasons to share the space with the sisters, that should be perfectly fine. I do think that Muslim women across the country are heavily involved in many of our Islamic activities and are at the forefront of what's happening, whether it's at the MSA, I've seen this firsthand, at ISNA, whether it's in civil liberties like CARE, whether it's in public affairs, in our weekend schools. They are actively involved. We should not be debating what is their role or what is their space. This should be a given. Again, outside of clear fiqh issues, Everything else that we can agree on should be permissible, and inshallah, I look forward to supporting that very, forthrightly.
Sister Ahmed?
So now the woman speaks. So we've heard from the brother's perspective of what is perceived as how the sisters might feel in the masjid. And I'm not claiming to speak on behalf of all the sisters, but I can say for sure that there are definitely some sisters who do not feel that they are welcome in the masjid, especially in the main musalla. We have our upstairs balcony where that's our place to be, but I have a real issue with when we have educational programs in the main musalla, whether it be a seminar or a religious talk or a presentation, whatever it may be. And the women sometimes are not given adequate space. There's no barrier that's put up. Those little lines are not put in the middle to separate the musalla between brothers and sisters. And the sisters get crammed in the back corner. And despite being in the back corner, we still get dirty looks and are sometimes scolded by men coming in and out of the doors telling us that we shouldn't be there. So some sisters feel like second-class citizens in this masjid, and that's the unfortunate reality. So what I would like to see is that aside from the times of prayer, that this musalla does become sort of like a community hall, like Brother Arif mentioned, and that women have equal access to the musalla, with a divider, so that there is separation. I think one of the critical aspects about having women down here during educational talks is that women need to be actively involved in what's happening, not passively involved. And I feel like from upstairs, it's much more easy to be a passive observer rather than an active participant. When you involve more of your senses, when you can actually see the speaker, when you can hear the speaker, and sometimes we can't see the speaker because the TV screens aren't on or we don't have a little balcony seat where the windows are. It's hard to follow along sometimes. And if you have a question, it's hard to ask from up there sometimes. So when it comes to educational experiences in the masjid, I would really like for women to be here front and center so we can be active participants and get the same access to education that the brothers get. In terms of having women teachers and scholars, if there's a place for them in the masjid, I think there very much needs to be a place for them in the masjid, and it can very well be in the main musalla if they're giving a lesson. I'm not advocating for women to give the khutbah or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But yes, there's nothing wrong with having women scholars come in and give lessons and dars. In fact, I think that we need to see more of that. Our young women, our daughters in our community need to have good, positive role models. They need to see that it is as much an obligation on them as their brothers to seek Islamic education and to become scholars and leaders as well. So I think we need to, we have some more work to do, I think, in terms of making the masjid more women-friendly.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. The other kind of point, I think one thing that continues to be an issue for not just this committee, but a number of the committees, how we're dealing with the youth, which raised another question. What are the most important qualities in a youth director that ICOI hires? Brother, who did you start with last time? Was it Brother Zulfikar? Or? Yeah, I think we were kind of going in a rotation, so I think it's Brother Zulfikar's time, yeah.
Qualities of a youth director?
Yes, what are the most important qualities in a youth director that ICOI hires?
So I would say the most important quality is that the youth director needs to be very young, in a sense that they are recent college graduate. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. If we have a youth director at my age, I mean, we got a problem. So that's one thing. Second, that's number one, so that kids can relate, the youth can relate to the youth director. That's my personal opinion. Second thing is that the youth director needs to be born and raised here, so that the director really needs the brother or the sister who's the youth director. The brother or the sister who's the youth director, they need to really understand the challenges the youth go through high school. I mean, they are literally in a cooking oven in terms of their iman, in terms of their Islam, in terms of their character. The challenges they face are just incredible. I have three teenagers in my home, so I can tell you how important that position is. It's a matter of the life and death when it comes to the family. I'm telling you this with all seriousness, that this director position is very important. It's very important for the youth director to relate to our youth, to understand their problems, to understand their concerns, and have a good Islamic knowledge to be able to guide them in a practical manner. That's my 2 cents.
Jazakallah, yes, Brother Arif.
I did have the opportunity to serve as a youth director in an organization in Minnesota for a couple years, and I can say from first-hand experience that I was severely handicapped at the time by not having gone to high school here. And even though I'm now 25 years, almost 25 years in the US, looking back, I can say that it is really important, I don't know about being born here, but to have gone through the secondary education here and then on to college is very important, so this individual can relate to the youth and make the information accessible and digestible and impactful to the youth. But I would disagree with my brother Zulfiqar here that I do think experience is needed. Again, looking back at what I recall from that time, I was not married. I myself was not necessarily stable in some regards, and I feel that a youth director that we bring in should have more experience, perhaps should be older, having served in that role in previous communities, so we can look at how they performed in that role. A college grad may not have those experiences we can check in on. And also, I have seen shuyukh like Imam Sohaib, for example, who the youth love, and he's not a college grad. So I think that skill and that quality can come at an older age. We just have to find the right person, and we will know when we see it. But I do feel very strongly that even now with my daughter going to middle school and then on to high school, we really have to invest in this role and find the right person with the right qualifications, with the right experience that can serve our youth for a long period, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. That's true.
I agree with much of what's been said, so I'm not going to reiterate the points already being made. I just wanted to add that whoever is chosen, that person, that personality that is chosen, needs to be a very approachable person. We need our youth to be able to feel very comfortable going to this youth director with any sort of crisis, and there are many that occur during the youth years, to be able to go to this person and seek advice. And this person that becomes the youth director has to be very knowledgeable about what to do in times of crisis and the varied crises that exist during the youth years. In addition, I think that the youth director needs to be a very charismatic, vibrant person. This needs to be someone that people kind of are magnetized to. Like they have to kind of have this personality that the youth are drawn to, and then all the qualities that we've already mentioned.
Jazakallah khair. Sorry, there's one. Did you already answer?
Frankly, there is not much I could really add to what other candidates have already added. Vibrance, approachable, communication, highly educated. I don't think that's really that necessary. It's really the personality that's far more important than anything else. And when you see that person, you will know. It's very hard to define those aspects in a particular job description per se.
Yeah, I mean, and as board members, you will actually be asked to hire people for this masjid also. Are there particular attributes you're looking for that cut across? Obviously, they need to be qualified. When you make these decisions, can you talk to us a little bit about what you're looking for when you're hiring, whether it's a youth director or office staff or finance person? Is there a particular set of criteria that you'd consider? You can start this.
So one of the most important criteria that I look for in a person is they have a can-do attitude. Even if they don't know everything about everything, that's fine. As far as they know that they don't know about things and they're willing to learn, that's important. Number two, they're honest, upfront, and transparent in the communication. And if those qualities are there, the rest of the things, in my opinion, can be trained.
So one thing I would personally look for is that they went to high school here. That's very important. I think I said that earlier, that they went to high school here, that they understand the challenges, and then they have to be, in a sense, literally a psychiatrist to really understand deeply the issues and be able to communicate and counsel our youth effectively. And the other very important thing is that they have to be very, very knowledgeable in Islam. I mean, if the youth director is not really well versed, I mean, doesn't have to be a Maulana, but really know good knowledge of Islam, where they can impart an advice or counsel based on our deen. Because if the right advice is not given to our youth, then we got a big problem. So these are some of the things I would suggest that we should look for.
Is the question general to any staffing decision?
Yeah, that was actually
Okay.
general to any staffing.
So it's a privilege, it's a luxury for a Muslim community to have the means to hire staff, paid staff. Not many masajid, not many Islamic centers have that amenity. So I believe it's an amana for the board to be able to hire the right person. And so we have to be very careful in how we hire. I'm a professional manager in my work. I've hired, over 12 people. I've let some people go. And so I've seen over the years, what kind of candidate performs well, what doesn't. And, it's a given that for the Islamic Center, you're going to hire someone who has the right character, the right attitude, and the right Islamic orientation. So that's a given. I'm not getting into that. But I think one of the most important qualities for any staffing decision is to make sure that the person is self-motivated, because we all know motivation goes up and down. And we need someone who really wants to do this job. This is not going to be the most glamorous job, no matter what it is. So self-motivation is very important. And the other key quality I believe we have to ensure we look for and we ensure that we have found is the ability to be coached, to be coachable. Quite often people get a position and then they run off with it. And we want to make sure that they're open to feedback, they're open to course correction. We have accountability. We're able to make them listen and adjust how they approach a situation that may be different than how they approached it in the past in a different community. So I think self-motivation and coachability is very important in any staffing decision that we make. And I'll end by saying that it is a very strong amana. And we have to make sure that as a board we take this very seriously.
I don't have much to add. I'm just going to say a couple more points. So I think hard work ethic is very important. I think the person needs to be a team player. So looking at communication skills and their ability to work with others is a critical aspect. And then I think one more thing is the person should have an attitude of wanting to continuously improve, to constantly do better and better. I think that's a very important part of the masjid's vision, is that we're continuously improving as we go on.
Jazakallah khair. Continuing along kind of the various constituencies that comprise this masjid, here's a question about something, I guess, that what is generally considered a gap in terms of engagement in this community. Although I know the board has taken measures to do this. What do you believe is the best way to cater to this community's young professionals? So I think, Sister Rhonda, this one.
So when I think of the young professionals, I think of people in their prime, and these are, I like to consider them like the jewels of our community. These are people that are fresh, they're motivated, they have a lot of inspiration and vision, and they can dream big. And I think we need to give them the platform to do that in our masjid. I think we need to allow them to be creative, to push the envelope, to do things differently than the way that things have been done in the past. So that requires, I think, letting go a little bit and giving them a little bit of leeway to do that, to push the envelope. We have to obviously, I think, support them financially with the funding to do that as well. I think the young professionals can actually benefit both the elder and younger generations in the work that they do. And I think we need to give them the chance to be able to show what it is that they can bring to our community.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Arif.
So the young professionals are probably one segment of many segments in this community, and I'm a young professional. I will first start off by saying that one of my goals as a board member is to get to know the other segments that I'm not very close to, the more seniors, the younger people, new Muslims, groups that I'm not very familiar with. The young professionals, I have discovered in my short time here that Irvine seems to be a haven for people with young children who are looking for the best schools and want to buy their first house. And for them, they are also here because they feel it's a vibrant Muslim community. This is why I came here. I actually left Northern California with the express purpose, alhamdulillah, to come to this community, and then we look for jobs. So alhamdulillah, Allah has facilitated that because I feel that this is a place we can belong. I think providing opportunities for the young professionals to meet is important. Many of us, not me, but people perhaps younger than me, recently left college and they miss the MSA environment, they miss the active involvement in social life. So we do need to provide an opportunity for young professionals to interact with each other and remain engaged and remain integrated within the community. I actually think that there are many more needs outside the young professionals that we also need to focus on. So hopefully, I can bring some of that, inshallah.
So as far as young professionals are concerned, there are two things. What can we do for them and what can they do for us, for the ICOI? So what ICOI can do for them is to arrange programs, one at the religious level, so that, and Brother Sheikh Atif, I think mashallah, he already has programs to teach Islam in such a way which is very relevant to our young professionals. So they need, when they come to the masjid, they learn about Islam, they learn about our deen, they learn how to raise families, which is very important. So that's one thing. Second thing is that young professionals obviously are starting their careers, and then we have many, mashallah, members in our community who are very senior, who are very well established and very successful in their careers. So we need to have programs where we bring in those professionals, our senior brothers and sisters, and then teach our young professionals on how to climb ladders at work. I mean, that is very important, so that we as a community become very successful in terms of careers, and we get better and better positions in corporate American environment. So that's what we can do for young professionals. What young professionals can do for ICOI is for them, they can teach our youth who are in high school or who are in middle school, is to how to do career planning. They can teach how to get into better and better schools and navigate the college environment, high school environment, etc., etc. So both ways, they can benefit us and we can benefit them, and inshallah we can grow stronger together.
All the candidates have made some very good points, and I do agree that we do need to provide educational opportunities, be it religious or be it how to climb the corporate ladder. But in addition to that, what I foresee, or what I'd like to see, is perhaps maybe we can create some sort of innovators workshop, a workshop where the young people can bring some ideas to the table, and maybe we can have some sort of a fund which is established by the community to fund those initiatives. For example, maybe the next Facebook, next Snapchat. Why not have it come from this community? A lot of the young folks, they have probably very good ideas. When I was much younger, I had some great ideas, but no dollars. And if our community can help fund some of those initiatives, help them get to the next level, well, there's an opportunity for the community at large to make some money, financial rewards, whereas we will have much more successful members of the community who will make a significant impact for future generations. Something to think about.
Jazakallah khair. That was very helpful. I do want to actually go back to a point that Brother Arif made earlier, because it kind of dovetails into our next question. You feel that there are other communities that we should be focusing on. So the question actually says, do you feel there are other vulnerable populations in our community, and how do you propose we care for them and nurture them? Brother Arif? Yeah.
So as I said, I've been humbled that I do not know very many other segments of the community other than, young starting families. And I think it's incumbent upon us to get to know those communities better. I do know that even though we live in Orange County in Southern California, there are less privileged families who are being challenged, financially, materially, medically, maybe even family issues. There are recent immigrants who need a lot of support. There are new Muslims who need a lot of support. These are all vulnerable parts of our community, and if we can't take care of them, we shouldn't expect other people we don't know to take care of us. There are already many programs in ICOI that have started on the right footing to help these communities. We have to strengthen those programs, make them self-sustaining. We have to partner with third parties. They don't have to be Islamic necessarily, but that are like-minded, and scale up these operations. There is strength in numbers here. But I think overall, this space belongs to anyone who is seeking a spiritual fulfillment in Islam, and we have to make sure that at a minimum we remain inclusive to any community, to any sub-part of the community that feels vulnerable or unwelcome or perhaps shy to reach out to us. If a Bedouin Arab who didn't even know how to use the bathroom could feel that he could go to the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ and seek guidance, that means that we have to emulate that kind of environment where someone with very little information, very little knowledge still finds it in their means to come here to get information, to get support, to get help, and not be sent out without some level of outreach. So I think we have a lot of work to do there, and inshallah ICOI has already started some work in that direction. We need to strengthen those efforts.
Sister Rhonda?
So if I had to identify 3 or 4 groups that I think are most vulnerable, I would, number one, say that our converts who are coming back to Islam. I think the New Muslim Support Group does a great job of trying to help them, but all too often we see, someone take shahada in our masjid, and everyone gives that person a hug, and then that person is, lost after that, and there's no continuity. So I think projects like the New Muslim Support Group are very important, and we need to do a better job of supporting our converts. The elderly, I think, in our community are very vulnerable, as in any community, and I did have some discussions with some of the members of the CAP group, the Community Assistance Program here at ICOI, and there were some ideas about reaching out to the elderly in our community, providing meals on wheels, transportation to medical appointments, etc. And I think that is an idea that still hasn't come to fruition, so I'd really like to see more support for the elderly in our community as well. And then the third group that I would identify are the children and the youth. I think the children and youth need to have a very positive experience every time they come to this masjid, because they're in their formative years, and whatever they experience as children, they're going to take with them in the future. And these experiences that they have when they're young are going to help shape their attitude towards Islam as they get older. So we need to pay a lot of attention to our children and youth.
We definitely need to reach out to other members of the community. There's the elderly population, like the sister said, and the youth. There are some people who may not be able to afford some of the same. They may have some job challenges, work challenges, and so we do need to have some programs. We do have some things already in place here, but we definitely need to work on putting those together.
So just to add to what the sister and the brothers are saying, without repeating what they said, we have a very good, mashallah, CAP program in the masjid, and brothers and sisters do an awesome job. That's just incredible. They reach out to different sets of vulnerable communities like the sister and the brother mentioned. But I just want to add one more thing, is that inshallah we should all show up to the masjid as much as we can. We should talk to each other. There might be some people who are just too shy to reach out to the office and say, I need help. They just won't talk to anyone, and they would just suffer. So among ourselves, we just need to get to know each other. We come to the masjid and talk to each other and get to know each other, and if we see that one of our brothers, sisters needs help, then we should just reach out and help, or go to the office and say, can we help so-and-so? So that's one extra thing we can do, is to just hang out with each other. The brothers hang out with brothers as much as they can, and the sisters vice versa, and really get to know each other and help someone who really needs help.
Jazakallah khair. Kind of going a little bit more to the finance part and just long-term masjid views. Do you have views on the masjid's long-term site projects? Do you have views on how best to frame those in terms of the fundraising efforts? Do you feel the masjid needs a new site?
Well, as far as the masjid needing a new site, this is a growing community, so I do feel that it would be really beneficial if the masjid could have a new site. The cost of about $16 million or something like that seems like an insurmountable task, and we will, if we want a new site, then we will all have to come together somehow to put that in place. But this is a growing community, and there is a need. If you want to have more programs, more space, and if you all want a masjid to be not only a house of worship, but a community center where we all come together for different activities, there is a need for a new space. As far as fundraising efforts are concerned, I think the existing board, they have put in some good methods to raise funds. They have started running this masjid. It's a non-profit organization, but it is running like a for-profit organization, where any non-profit organization cannot run at a loss. It has to at least break even. And at this particular time, the way the board has been running the masjid, they are running at break even or at a profit, so that there are some reserves. And that's how an organization needs to be run. And so it is running in a good manner. Now we need to continue doing something like that.
So as far as the new site is concerned, it's just an absolute must that we get a new site. Our board members that are in the board right now have done an amazing job into working towards the new site, into researching the locations, into motivating the masjid, motivating the community to donate for it. It's just an absolute necessity. Not just from the Ramadan parking point of view, not just from the Ramadan capacity point of view or Jum'ah capacity point of view, that is secondary. I would say the primary is that we have to have facilities for our youth, for our children, for our elderly, for all of us to grow. And this is the space that we have right now is very limited. And with the new big facility, we can, inshallah, conduct programs that would attract our youth. I mean, where are our youth right now? I mean, they're probably either at Spectrum or they're probably at home, eating pizza. I mean, they're not here. They're not here at Fajr, they're not here at Dhuhr, they're not here at Asr, they're not here at Maghrib, they're not here at Isha. Some of them are, mashallah, some of the youth are here, but most of them are not here. So we need a new facility to make it attractive so that our youth and our kids will come to the masjid, period. It's very important. It's as important as our bread and water and lunch and dinner. So inshallah, I'd like to motivate myself and everybody else, inshallah, to really speed it up, donate, get in touch with our board members and see how soon can we get the new site, inshallah.
So I'll echo some things Sister Randa said earlier in the evening, that as individuals, we accomplish a lot in our homes, right? So we balance the budget at home. We're not running a monthly loss or we'd be in trouble. We find the ways and the means to, for many of us who are fortunate, buy a home. I know when I moved here from Minnesota, I was like, okay, what is this? This is just completely crazy California market. But alhamdulillah, we were blessed to, find a home and be able to move in. And we were able to overcome what seemed like an insurmountable amount of money to be able to say that we own a home. I don't know why, as individuals, we are able to balance a budget, own a home, make ends meet, and actually set financial goals for the future and achieve them. And as a community, we cannot do that. It just seems, very strange. But the reality is that it is difficult. It is a challenge. Our needs and our means are not in the same category. So we have to do more. I heard that this place was too small the day it opened, so we absolutely have to grow and expand out of this location. With any project, you have to have a strategic plan. These things don't happen overnight or in 2 years, maybe even in 5 years. It may take 10 years. I've been in communities in the Bay Area where they set a goal 15 years away to build a place, and I've seen now, they build one minaret and then 5 years later the next minaret, and it's a long-term plan. So we need some long-term strategic planning, and we'll get there inshallah. If we individually are successful financially, I don't know why as a community we cannot be successful. We just have to be very, very good in our planning.
So I agree with everything that's been said. I just wanted to highlight that I definitely think we need a new site, that it needs to be big enough to be a community center, which we can't accommodate in our current structure. And that community center plays a vital role in retaining the youth and the children. So yes, I agree with everything that's been said.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. I think a lot of the responses have been kind of reiterating that the board's direction has been generally good. You're generally happy with what the masjid's doing. I think one of the reasons people do want to take part in these elections is to see if there are anything that you can identify in this masjid right now, or that could be improved. Putting together your bios and engaging in this process. Clearly, you've thought about this. So we wanted to hear from you also if there's one specific thing that you see lacking right now in this masjid that you're trying to at least engage to improve. So we can start with Sister Rhonda on this one.
So the main issue I have is that the masjid is not operating as a community center, and of course we're limited by the structure, but ideally I would love to see that families come to the masjid all together, and the children have an appropriate activity, the youth have an appropriate activity, the adults have an appropriate activity. But unfortunately, the way it is now, the adults come and the children are home with the other parent, and the youth, like the brothers of Allah said, are doing whatever. And so we need to be able to schedule programming for the whole family, the whole range of ages at the same time, so that families come here together. So that's something I would like to work on, and inshallah, as we are able to purchase a new site, that will be make it easier to be able to achieve that goal.
I think there are many topics here we could get into without, being blameful or pointing fingers. I think there's always opportunities for improvement, which is why we're motivated to join, inshallah. If there's one thing I would pick, I would say that, this community, mashallah, is blessed with a lot of young professionals with a lot of talents and a lot of skills. And we are not, I believe, effectively utilizing and leveraging those talents. And a lot of things are being done, perhaps the old-fashioned way or the brute force way or the quick way, because we don't have time to plan. And again, without blaming and pointing fingers, I would say that there have been multiple occasions in the past few years where I or a friend of mine have come forward to say, hey, we want to get involved. And we don't want a leadership role, we just want to help. And we have these skills. And I think it's incumbent upon the board or whoever we approach to find a way to utilize those skills. And I think it may just be that people are busy and there's a lot going on and you don't have it takes time and thought to utilize someone's talent also. But I think we are missing out on a vast pool of talent and resources in this community, and we need to find ways to leverage those talents. And to what Brother Zulfiqar said, what can the young professionals do for the masjid? We need to find those opportunities and make it available to them, and they will help, inshallah.
Okay, and I just want to kind of ask one follow-up, because are you saying that there's a structural reason why people, when they come forward, this happens, where they're not fully able to be utilized, or is this just something that...
I think it's just a challenge of time and, follow-up. I don't think it's a structural issue.
So, mashallah, the board at ICOI, I'm really impressed with all the board members, how much hard work they put in and how much effort they put in Ramadan, in Jummah, I mean regular activities. They do lots and lots and lots of hard work, and I wish I could do the amount of work our board members do. It's just incredible, and I'm just so impressed. Having said that, if you have, and with all due respect to all the brothers and sisters, if we have an idea to implement, we would, what I personally would do is, and just my 2 cents personally, is I would structure it from start to end, and with all the details that I'll take care of, or I'll have a group to take care of. And all I'll ask from the board is to present to them and ask their permission if this can be done. And all the rest of the details, I'll take care of it. Because the board is very busy, mashallah. I mean, they are working so hard. So to be very blunt, to not expect board members to carry out our vision. This is our masjid. And if we want a task that we have or a project that we have for the board to implement, we gotta do it. We gotta do it ourselves. The only thing we request the board is that, you know, if you would allow us, or if this is okay for the masjid to do it, and if it's okay, and if they permit it, and I'm sure they will work with us. So we gotta take the charge, and any project, any initiative, any task that we have, we gotta do it end to end, inshallah. And the board is there to support us, the board is there to encourage us, and the board is there to guide us and help us, inshallah.
Before I answer that question, I just wanted to make one comment. Brother Salman did not share the questions with us beforehand. So we are running, we are giving answers on the fly. So what we are saying is what we believe in, what we feel. We have not had a chance to prepare. Is that correct for the rest of the team?
Yeah, nobody was given these questions. These are questions that were submitted directly.
I did not. So anyway.
But to be clear, you are all very admirably answering all of these questions.
Thank you. So having said that, I do feel that ICOI board and the community has put in a lot of good programs in place. This community has grown tremendously in the last 20 years. When I first moved into this community, there was not an ICOI. I used to live right across the street and in those apartments, and I used to stand there and look at this open piece of land, and I used to dream that maybe someday if I have the money, maybe I can buy the land, and maybe build a masjid. I never had the money, but the community came together and they were able to build the masjid, and we are, mashallah, here. And this is a very vibrant community. The board has worked very hard to put things in place. There have been some challenges in the past, and there will be challenges in future. Regardless, we all need to continue to work together. We need to we need to be poised for a larger community center, so that people not only come to this masjid as a house of worship, which is the basic function, but it is also a place where people need to come in for various occasions. Maybe they need to have weddings, maybe they need to have other functions, so that this is the place to be. And I think it really boils down to how are we going to put a strategic plan in place to have a larger community center, a masjid, in a much larger place down the road. It may not happen in the next year or two, maybe not even 5 years, but it is a slow and steady process, and there has to be a strategic plan put in place for that.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. We're planning on going for 90 minutes, inshallah, 15 more minutes, or depending. We have just a few more questions. Going again to this notion of transparency, somebody said, it is unclear to me how and when the board actually makes decisions. It is a general set of meetings that they have, but a lot of times the rationale is not entirely clear. What will you as a board member do to ensure that when you take decisions, especially those that affect us, that you'll be able to adequately inform us, and so that it's very clear how those decisions are being made? So we can start with Brother Zulfikar on this one.
So if we have to reach out to community for each and every decision and inform them as a board member, as a general board member, not we, I mean as a general board member in this position, if we have to get back to the community and explain each and every decision, I'm not sure how is that really possible. And it may not be very productive because, you know, we have very diverse, community members, and to explain and be able to be accepted by each and every member is just not possible. So, but on the other hand, that it's really important for some of the critical decisions, some of the main critical decisions that community members should have visibility in how the decisions were made. And there are times we are all human, we're all human beings. Sometimes board members will make good decisions, and sometimes they will not make a good decision. They're not perfect. So, but there should be a way, a mechanism for the board to explain to any community member that why such and such decision was taken. So there has to be possible, there has to be transparency as much as possible. They may not satisfy the community member, but the transparency should be there.
So I think this community and this Islamic Center is well on its way on the maturity curve of transparency. There are other communities that are far below it, and there may be a few others that are above it. We are certainly now more transparent, as we said earlier, in our financials. And inshallah, we'll get to a place where we are much more transparent in our decision-making process and the actual decisions that are made in a timely way, so we can communicate them. And if you think of like an HOA and homeowners association, there's a board and there is, advance notice of when meetings happen, what topics get discussed, there are meeting minutes that get published. We should get there eventually. It doesn't happen overnight. And as the brother said, we cannot have a referendum on every decision with the whole General Assembly. But I think it is important to have a good decision-making process, that there not be groupthink, that there is good discussion, good debate, good time allowed to make important decisions, so that when those are made and they're final, we are able to communicate them to the general community. And in that communication, it's very important that everyone in the community who's interested is able to quickly identify who the board members are, and so they can seek that information. Oftentimes, they don't know who the board members are, or at least don't have a personal relationship with them to get that information. So being accessible is very important. It's an amana. You have to follow the best process and have taqwa of Allah in your heart as you make the decision, so that you make it on behalf of the community and find the means to communicate it. So I think we'll get there. We're on our way on that maturity of transparency.
I think there's two things that I can identify that could be done to make the board's decisions more transparent. One is actually publishing the meeting minutes from the board meetings. And I know that there's a lot of potential benefits and risks in doing so, but I think that's something that could be looked at as a possibility. And then another idea, which actually was done previously, I'm not sure what happened, but I know that in recent years there were actually town hall meetings. I'm not sure how many occurred, but if we would have such a thing on maybe a quarterly basis, where members of the community are welcome to come and the board members are present, and there can be an open two-way communication about the decisions that have been made and people's responses to that, and people's responses can be taken into account when making future decisions. I think there needs to be a lot more open communication with the board members, and there needs to be a platform for it, and I think these town hall meetings are a good way to do that.
As the other candidates were speaking, I was thinking about how I would answer that question, and what the sister said about town hall meetings. I definitely think that's a great idea. I would second that anytime. As far as having a discussion about every decision that is being made, I think that's just next to impossible, because there are decisions that may have a timely component to it. They need to be made. And the board members have a fiduciary duty to the community, to the masjid, to make the right decisions in the best manner possible. And as board members, whoever the board members end up being, they will exercise that fiduciary duty. And if they're not, well, I'm pretty sure that the next election or next cycle, they will not be there. So we have a responsibility. We will exercise that responsibility responsibly, and to make sure that we make decisions that are sound decisions, and we continue and make every effort to be more transparent. And town hall meetings is a great way. Publishing meeting minutes. I don't think that's a great idea. It should be open to the members to come and request them, but I don't think it should be published openly on a website, but they should be available for members to look at it.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. One last corporate governance question. These are questions from the community. The current bylaws allow the board to appoint other board members if they so choose. This is in addition to the community election process for which you are currently candidates. How do you feel about that particular right, and should the board be exercising the option to appoint other board members without having an election? Let's start with Brother Arif on this one.
I would say that, obviously, to me, it is important to participate in a process where the community has a say in who their leaders are, which is why, I'm interested to enter into the board if I get the privilege through the election process versus getting appointed by existing board members. I know it is difficult to find motivated, passionate, qualified people all the time. So perhaps there's a period when some appointments have to be made. I would say, though, that the vision and the goal has to be that we quickly, and I mean very quickly here, I don't mean 5 years, perhaps in the next year, get to a situation where all board members are people who are elected by the community, through a process such as this, and that there is good turnover. I think healthy communities that have good level of engagement by their members have very healthy turnover of their leaders. So I think that's the vision, and we need to get there quickly. So if that's the current process, I would look to see how soon we can change that to the vision of having only elected board members.
I agree with what Brother Arif said. So I think that yes, ideally all of the members of the board should be elected by the community, but I do understand that at times people need to be appointed to the board for various reasons, whether it is to fill a spot that opened up unexpectedly, or to make use of someone's special talents that they can offer to the board. So I do see that it has been useful to do that in the past, but I do agree with the model that we should be evolving towards a fully elected board.
So I do believe that the board members should be elected, and of course there are times when we do need to appoint members, maybe because the elections have already taken place and we do need some representation, and at that particular point it makes sense to appoint members. But overall, I think at some point we need to move to a totally elected board.
So, to answer the question, the board members electing other board members without election, right?
Yes, I mean, the question was that the current bylaws allow the board to appoint other board members. How do you feel about that process? And do you feel that this particular power should be reserved or not be exercised, or should board members just be elected?
Yeah, I very much agree that that this option should be reserved to the board members, and the reason being is that there are times when there is a need in the community where a certain role needs to be fulfilled, and if we just leave it to general election, that brother or sister with certain skill set that would fill the position of the board may not get a chance to get elected. So in that case, I think that may not fulfill the immediate need that the board has. And historically, we have seen that some of the brothers or the sisters were elected by the board without the election. And they are, mashallah, very well known in the community. They are very productive in the community, and they have done a great job in the community. So it hasn't happened that we got an email from ICOI and the brother or sister was elected, and we're like, what? I mean, how do they, that's not the case. I mean, mashallah, the board does a very good job. And from the efficiency of the process perspective, that option should be there on the table, so that when an immediate need arises and we really need that specific brother and sister with those specific skill sets to address a specific need in the masjid, yes, we should have that option. That option should be there and should be exercised. That's my opinion.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. And so last question. Thanks again for all of you for very dutifully and admirably answering all of these questions. And this is kind of a general question about, all of these positions are 2-year positions. In these 2 years, if there's one thing that you would like to see done by the time you leave, one thing you're really going to focus on, what would that be? For all 3? Is that right? Okay. All right. Let's assume that's 3 years. In those 3 years, I guess you'll have more time. 3 years. What would be the one thing you would like to see done? So we can start with Sister Rhonda.
I need more time to think. I don't know. I think I've said this many times, but I really would like to see the masjid more of a community center. And again, I think the new site would be instrumental in that. Assuming that we don't have a new site within the next 3 years, with the current structure that we have, I do think that we can do more in terms of making this masjid a community center. So I think that's probably where I would focus most of my energy. And this means, hiring a youth director, having a very strong youth program, having programs for the children, having all of this programming occurring in tandem, so we have families coming to the masjid all together, and this be, a hub for Muslims, rather than a place where we come and pray Jama'ah or pray Fajr or Isha and just leave.
Jazakallah, and I'll just kind of verify what Brother Ahmed and Brother Irfan just said. It is a 3-year term with two term limits.
Yeah, I had that same confused look earlier when I thought about it. But alhamdulillah, I think it's an amana, and it is actually a burden we should take seriously. 3 years is a long time. I think we're probably unique in that situation at ICOI, but it is a good amount of time to make a difference. I'm actually under no illusion that we will get a ready-to-go, usable new site in 3 years. It may take us longer to actually move in. So within these 3 years, I would say 2 things need to be accomplished. One, we need to stop having to say every Jum'ah that we're desperate for your $5 donation. I think that needs to stop. We need to be on a financial model where we are solvent, and we don't. That is happening. It's not that people are stopping to donate, but it is happening in such a way that we don't have to remind people about $5. So financial solvency needs to absolutely happen to be cash flow positive within the next 12 months, not just the next 36 months. The second thing I think is we need to be much more integrated with the general community here. I think we have momentum, but we need to be such a situation that other groups that are allies for the Muslims in Southern California know us well, we know them well. We are tightly knit in our ability to protect our rights, our freedoms, our ability to practice Islam freely, and to share our knowledge and our ideas freely. So I would like to see within 3 years that we are well integrated in this community, and we are the go-to place for not just Islamic knowledge, but for people who are interested in social justice, who are interested in making this community a better place, and we're not just an island taking care of itself.
So I would just focus on only one thing, and I'll do only one thing. And that is I'll just focus on the youth. I have 3 teenagers at home. So I would only focus on the youth programs, teenager programs. I'll only focus on how to set up programs so that they would increase their Islamic knowledge. I would focus on the program, how would they increase their social skills, how would they navigate their challenges in middle school, high school. I would only personally focus on how to make masjid a fun and inviting environment for our teenagers. That would be my only focus.
What I'd like to see is, at the culmination of my term, is that this masjid, at this location or at any other location, we come up with a strategic plan that would allow us to be self-sufficient, even though we continue to be a non-profit organization, but we should be self-sufficient, not dependent on, and reminding everybody that you need to donate $5. People should donate regardless, but it should be a self-sufficient model. There are those are the kind of models that have been in place in the countries that we come from. Back home in Pakistan, they have that kind of a model. I've seen that when I was younger. So those are things that the board will need to decide, that we will need to discuss. I don't know what would be the appetite for the community to get something like that going, but that is something that needs to be seriously thought about. How can we have a self-sufficient model?
Jazakallah khair. So thank you to all four of you, and thanks for everyone, inshallah, for coming. The elections are on December 4th, so I think we'll be here. So inshallah, if you have anybody, please make sure to vote and encourage everybody to vote. But I just wanted to thank all four of you for very admirably answering all of these questions. They did come quite literally from the community. I think we answered about 24 questions in 90 minutes, which is quite a bit. So Jazakallah khair, thank you so much, inshallah. So we'll see everybody on the 4th. Brother Ahmed, do you want to make an announcement?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm not going to keep you. I'm just going to say Jazakumullah khair for all of you that attended. I know that it's taking time out of your family's time on a Friday night means a lot. Alhamdulillah, that means you're involved and care about this message just as much as everybody here. Please be reminded that we did record the session, and I know there's not a whole lot of people in the room, so please encourage people that are not here to view the recording and make sure that they know who they're voting for before the election, as Brother Salman said, on December 4th. I want to personally thank Sister Randa, Brother Arif, Brother Zulfikar, and Brother Rizwan for their time and for giving their time to participate in the process and to promise that they're going to give their time to the community. I'm so happy to see that this is the caliber that we're going to be voting for, and subhanAllah, if I was on that table, I'm sure I would be on the bottom of the list on your vote. So I think we're very blessed to have people of this caliber that are willing to give back to the community. So alhamdulillah, I'm so happy and thankful for all of you. Also thankful to Brother Salman, who has led the nominating committee, who I want to remind you has been a third-party, neutral party. The board was not involved in the process at all, and they took the leadership. Brother Salman, Sister Taiba, Brother Adnan, Mamoun, and Sister Saida Khalil, I believe. Did I miss anybody? Okay, so that's the nominating committee. They're taking care of the whole process. They will take care of you on December 4th for the election. So Jazakumullah khair, and have a great weekend, and inshallah make sure to encourage everybody to come on December 4th. Jazakumullah khair. This is my last few days with the board. My term is ending, as well as 3 other board members, so I'm gonna definitely look forward to working with all of them as part of the community in the future. So Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.